Back again. This is the first one, only one I'm doing two in one day. But yeah, I'm going to be talking to Adam Bridgland today. Well, now, anyway. Who I know through Jealous Gallery, but we will get into that. Let me just. Hi, Cynthia. It says waiting.
Hello.
Hi.
You all right?
I'm good. I didn't expect you to be on Jealous this one, so I was like, oh.
No, I'm on that other one. It hasn't got as many followers. Yeah.
Oh no.
You're right.
Okay. How are you?
All right. Not bad. Not bad. It is what it is. Hey.
Yeah. You at home? In your
Yeah.
home studio?
I'm in the home studio. There we go.
I am so jealous.
Yeah. It's doing all right. We had a little bit of flying ant action a couple of weeks ago. And now, yeah. So I'm now lonely again. No, we're good. We're good. Myself and Lou use it. So yeah, it's really good. And yeah, using it a lot. How about you? What are you up to?
Well, we've just moved, so I'm just sort of getting used to the original thought. Well, we weren't even planning on moving originally. We were going to go traveling, and then this happened, so we had to find a house. And then we found a house, but obviously I have to have a studio because of everything that's going on. So I've just got this little room, which works at the moment, but hopefully it's not permanent.
No, it's a strange. I mean, in all honesty, I'm as you know, I'm with Jealous. I commute down from Cambridge to London, but I can't say I'm not missing that commuting time. It's nice to have the time in the studio and being able to make a bit more. Although Jealous is back in business again now, so we're slowly getting our feet, back on the ground and getting people back into work in the studio. And yeah, hopefully there's a level of normality at some point coming back. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean. But yeah, it's a strange time.
It's very strange. And it must have been really strange closing the doors on Jealous and stopping going to work and stopping making things there as well for a while.
Yeah, I mean, it happened so quickly. I mean, I was there on the Monday before the lockdown, and then my little boy got a cough. It was a cough, that traditional thing that people had before this situation took shape. But that meant we were out of action. And then 2 days later, just because so many people were kind of coming down with it, we decided to close the doors, and probably had two and a bit weeks where it was very, very quiet. And then slowly and surely, we've kind of, slowly kind of talked to clients again that we were working with. We brought back a couple of printers, just to try and satisfy projects and just keep things ticking over. And that we ran to that as a maximum capacity. So I'm working remotely, kind of getting all the jobs in, and then two printers, the lovely Ben Challen, as you'll know, Jess Wilson, and then Ines as well, as you know as well, comes in on a Saturday. And then tomorrow we've got the lovely Nick and Will returning to the doors. So I think we'll see how that works for the next couple of weeks, and then we'll make a call on what we can do.
It's amazing. It's amazing to sort of find a way to make it work. I guess sort of everyone has to at the minute. It's sort of juggling safety, yeah, trying to keep things still moving.
Well, yeah, I mean, the gallery stuff has been amazing as well, and so is Jack's, who's kind of like the silent director, does a lot. Yeah. She's been amazing over the last kind of 4 weeks, getting it back to normal. So, but the art world is so it's difficult at the best of times. When normality's kind of with us, but to try and kind of navigate what's happening at the moment is quite difficult. So I've always kind of preached that you should have. I mean, I've always had lots and lots of fingers in different pies and things, and so I'm jealous. My own stuff, UCLH, various kind of other art projects, and I think that for anybody starting out, particularly in this situation, I'd probably continue with that that kind of that advice, that just try and get as many things working for you, because you never know when you might need to dip in and do and use those contacts. And so
yeah, that's the things I found most strange about the whole situation was so many of myself and my friends, we all had little like backup jobs in like we did a bit of teaching, tutoring, this and that, and a lot of those things just also got completely wiped. So you felt like you had this like backup of all these things that you did before you became full time, and suddenly those aren't options anymore. So you felt
are
like all
you
your
are you
preparation had left you very unprepared.
yeah, are you obviously with the teaching and things, are you doing kind of online tuitions and tutorials and things like that for the schools, or is it just going to close
I'm
completely?
not. I haven't actually done sort of proper teaching in a year or so. I do enjoy it. I just found I needed a break for a bit. I was getting a bit sort of
Well, your
just
work
finding the
is
same
very intense.
ones.
Your work is very intense. You've got to when you're drawing away.
Oh, the Wi-Fi is being weird.
I know. Everyone's
Hey, can't hear you. What's going on? I can't hear anything. You got your sound on. Who can people hear? Can people hear me or Adam? I can't hear Adam either. Adam, come back. Oh, what? Oh, no. Okay, what to do? Wait. Oh, let's try again. Okay, he's going to come back. Da, 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 da. The joys of the internet. Let's hope it's not wrong on my end. Here we go. Go live. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Got to be prepared for these things. Which I'm not.
We thought we'd try again here.
Hey, I can hear you now.
I'm gonna go outside and we'll have a chat outside, and hopefully that will work.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, the most ironic thing about this is we live just outside of Cambridge, which is tech centre of probably the world. Okay, with things being made for the mobile. You come 5 minutes outside where I live, it's got divots everywhere. You can't get reception. It's beautiful, but it's actually, when it comes down to it, even with Wi-Fi, I can't. It's so temperamental. But anyway,
yeah,
there's my garden.
Beautiful,
which has been completely destroyed by the kids and playing football.
Mine has been completely destroyed by the dog. We moved in on a rainy day. His feet were sinking into the mud, and he decided to dig holes. So that was great.
Okay, and how are the dogs doing? All right.
They're doing well. She keeps bringing me a bone. She's just sat over there, so she keeps bringing it to me, and I keep giving it back to her.
And how's Brian?
He's good. He's good. He's just downstairs. I think he's playing Call of Duty or something. So yeah.
Not working new stuff then. He's
I think he's an evening worker. Definitely.
Okay.
He like goes upstairs and like in the evening, and then to do a small errand, and then hours later I'm like, I can just the house starts with music, and I'm like, okay.
I mean, I suppose it's a bit like with us as artists. We're given this time to kind of create. It's, in a way, it's a blessing. I suppose with music, I suppose you're because there's no outlet apart from maybe like this. You play live, on video calls and stuff. But actually, it's quite a good time to kind of look at the next album and creating music and things. And I suppose in a weird way, it's a nice thing to be given this time to experiment and make new work.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. It's funny if I think if it had a deadline on it, we'd all be even more productive. If we knew we'd be out of it again by a certain point, we'd be like, get it all done, make all this work about what's going on. But maybe the uncertainty is something adds a little extra. I don't know.
Well, exactly. What's the weirdest thing that has happened to you during lockdown? There's a good question.
The weirdest thing.
Or the weirdest thing you've discovered since or the funniest thing you've discovered since during lockdown?
It only really hit me after moving, because we were doing such strange house viewings
Yeah.
where like the estate agent would like run in, run out, and then we'd go in and then we'd leave, and like weird sort of ways, and like video call house viewings and stuff. I only feel like I'm in lockdown now that I've moved and we've stopped doing all that, and I actually am locked down. But yeah, probably the house viewings. That was very, very weird. And just like weird little things like our local Tesco's is like got a one-way system now.
I haven't been to a supermarket. Have you been? It's like a theme park, isn't it? I've heard.
It's so stressful. I go up one aisle and I want to go up the other one, and then by the time I get to the top, I've forgotten what it was I wanted in the other one, and I come out with like 4 things, and Brian's like, "We needed cheese," and I'm like, "I've got ice cream and prosecco."
See, I haven't done it yet. Everyone's been saying you've got to experience it at least once, because it is like a theme park. It's like going to Alton Towers and just kind of like feeding your way through it. But I haven't. We've all just had deliveries, and local shops have been amazing. Like just like, literally, I buy things that I don't even need. It's like going. I equate going to the shop in the next village along is almost, when you're on holiday and you go, right, I'm going down to the shop, I'm going to go and buy X, and you're just going to buy whatever for the day. That is like going to the local shop at the moment. It is like the holiday shop. And I mean, yeah, until last Friday, the furthest I'd been was that shop, and then I went to the framers who I have up here to drop a couple of pieces off, and that's 25-minute drive.
Yeah.
I got emotional on the A10 ever, apart from last week. There was a little tiny tear in there. It felt so good.
Yeah, it's so strange. I got a notification from Google yesterday, like Google Places or something. It's like, here's where you've been this month, and it said highlights, and it said Tesco and Sainsbury's. I was like, wow, it's been quite a month.
But yeah, I mean, with the expansion of with exercise and thing next tomorrow, we'll see. Maybe I'm desperate to see the sea.
Yeah, that would be nice.
I mean, like you, I'm very lucky that I have the countryside just there to go, and so I feel very, very lucky in that respects. And it also very lucky for the kids as well, because they can burn off energy when they're not killing. They can, run, and even though they can run for like 4 or 5 hours, they still won't sleep at night. It's just like. But yeah, I miss the sea. I'd like to see. I'd like to see some water if possible, and then.
I was in Guernsey right before the lockdown, and I treasure that now. I keep looking back on that and be like, oh God, I can't believe I got to go away like a week before we got locked down. That was so lucky.
Yeah, no, I did. So what are you working on at the moment? Are you working on any new pieces?
I'm doing stuff for my solo show, which was supposed to open in about 2-3 days, but now it's not.
Was that with James in Upper Street?
Yeah, with James Freeman Gallery. So we've moved it to September. It's supposed to be the first proper show back when he opens again, hopefully. But I don't know in what way that will be, or how we're going to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, as you know, I was supposed to have a show with Jealous in April. So, 2 weeks ago it opened. But yeah, we just have to wait and see if we can do it. And if who knows? It's just one of those. The work. The thing is also, who knows what work I'm going to be making then as well. It's kind of like, I think again, because I've been given this time to create at home, whereas I'm not running around London or wherever. I think the work that I'm making will probably change somewhat. So actually, the work that would have been presented 2 weeks ago won't be the same as what maybe I present if we look at a show in November, early next year, sometime like that. So, in a way, yes, it was frustrating, but it got cancelled for for this because of the situation. But actually, maybe it's quite nice to look at doing some new work and some fresh work for the show.
Yeah.
I'm making.
Me, I wasn't ready, so that was great.
How many works have you got to do?
I think we need about, I mean, big and small altogether, probably about 12, 13 works.
And how had you done by the time it was apparent that it was going to be cancelled?
Maybe like 7, maybe 6.
Okay, right. So just quick scribble. But, you know, like you were taught at secondary school that you're supposed to focus in on at the foreground, and then everything else is kind of like doesn't matter. Nobody looks at the around, so you just make this quick. That does that ever? I don't think that ever applies to your work, does it?
Not really. No, I think I just feel too guilty. Like, I suppose in my mind, everyone's going to look at them like I look at them. And so they're going to want to see stuff in the kind of way that I want to fill it. So
what's the drawing behind you at the moment? What's the subject for that at the moment?
that's the last in a series on the 5 senses.
Okay. And which sense is that?
This will be touch. So I've done all the other senses, and they're based on paintings by Rubens and Bruegel, because my show is inspired by the Prado collection.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so and all of them had very like sound was a room full of musical instruments. Great. I drew a musician I know, and I put him in a room full of musical instruments and interpreted my way. But touch was like the one I said from the very beginning that I was not looking forward to doing, because the original painting is just a room full of suits of armor with a naked woman in it.
Wow. So even you couldn't even do that. I don't know. How would you perform that?
I'm just gonna use the structure, so it's got like a kind of a corner that feels like indoors and a corner that feels like outdoors, and there's a wall down the middle. So I'll use that, put me in it instead of the naked woman clothed, because everyone's clothed. Yeah. And then I'm just gonna have to fill it with other things that are to do with touch for me, I suppose, rather than worry about the suits of armor, which I know nothing about and aren't really that relevant. Maybe I'll put in one for fun.
Maybe you can have one of those things. Remember, you used to go to the museum when you go to museums. I'm not sure if I haven't been to a museum as this for a while. But, you used to have like the holes, and then they say put your hand through here, and you could feel like some twigs or something. Or I don't know. Do you remember those things? When museums were really struggling for interaction. Now you can just touch computers. I miss those. I remember one being. It used to terrify my sister. It was in Princeton in Dartmoor. They talk about the hairy hands, which was like this ghost who used to come and take your wheel apparently when you were going across Dartmoor.
Oh yeah. I heard this.
Yeah, and I remember there was a museum in Princeton where you could go, and they tried to recreate the idea of hairy hands through the hole, and so you put your hand in there, and then you'd feel these. It just was, but my sister was really scared of it, but I've always got images of her having nightmares at about 8 or 9. Maybe that's doing her a disservice. Maybe she's younger than that, because 8 or 9 makes it sound like she could have been bullied heavily for that.
Yes. Does sound terrifying though.
It sounds terrifying, but I think that's what needs to happen. We need to bring back to museums kind of slightly kind of like cheap ways of interaction.
We used to dress up all the time in museums. You wouldn't. If there wasn't a dressing up box at the museum, it was very disappointing.
I think this situation has killed the dressing up box. If I'm honest, I don't think
it's not coming back.
But I mean, is it Sutton Hoo? Yeah, Sutton Hoo. I remember taking the kids to Sutton Hoo, and they had to dress up as Anglo-Saxons. It looked like the costume had been there since the Anglo-Saxon times. It was absolutely filthy. I don't trust anything that has a lab coat as well, where instead of white, it's kind of like brown or green, due to just people wearing it. I'm not having that.
No, that's grim.
That's been the last 10 years of my life, anyway. In terms of kind of weekend excursions to keep the kids amused, taking them to museums and getting them dressed up.
Yeah. What sort of museums do they like?
What's that say again?
What museum do they like?
Do you know what I was thinking about? When you were talking about the armour. So the Fitzwilliam in Cambridge has an amazing armour room, when I was younger, because I grew up in and around Cambridge as well, that was my favourite. And now I think possibly I've pushed it on them to like that room as well, but I think they like it now. But it's the armour room there is amazing. There's like a tiny knight on a horse, and I always think a bit like that. I'd love to perhaps put the armour on and go on the horse's back. I don't know.
It'll be fun, wouldn't it?
Also, I drag them round so many kind of weird museums and places. I really love, like, I underground bunkers and weird caves and things like that. And so like I'll say, right, we're going to go to like a nuclear, like Orford Nest. Like I love Orford Nest. You love Orford Nest, yeah. Here you go. I feel like I love the serenity, I love the peacefulness, I love the fact that nature's taking over like what was essentially, you know, a secret military site for that. But you try and sell that to kids.
That's a hard sell.
It's a hard sell. What are we doing today, Dad? Well, wait there, boys.
We're going to get on a boat and go to an abandoned nuclear weapons testing site.
Yeah. Here you go. Have a little bit of that. And then just consistent moaning because there's not a coffee shop or a cafeteria in sight, and because I've been used to some forgotten sandwiches and maybe their water as well. So no, I'm not. But no, I miss being able to go to museums and things, and I hope that that's one of the first things I can figure out of how to get people back in art galleries. I mean, yesterday I saw on because I used to work for Tate as doing installations and stuff, and I noticed that one of my ex-colleagues had published that Tate Modern was 20 years old yesterday, I think it was, which is unbelievable when you think about it. I mean, I know I worked there for like 8 years, but it still feels like it's only like 5-6 years old. I know it's weird how time has gone so quickly.
I remember when I was in secondary school, it was still quite a new thing to do, to go to the Tate, because it had only been open a few years.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was just, I can't believe it's 20 years old, and it's just such an amazing building. I personally preferred working at Britain, but
Do you like the Tate Britain? I prefer the Tate Britain.
Yeah, it's one of the happiest times of my life working at the Tate. They had such a good team, and it was, you know, I was so lucky to work with all the fantastic work that comes in and goes out, and you know, obviously we worked at the stores as well, Tate stores as well, and just the work that obviously doesn't always get displayed, and it's just there in their archive. Just, you know, so lucky to be part of that in such a good team.
Yeah, there was a really good program on the BBC the other day, Museums in Quarantine, where they were talking about the Tate Britain collection and how much, because they have sort of post-war art and art made like in not similar situations to this, but difficult situations, and like you can sort of reflect on that artwork now with a little bit more understanding, I suppose, of like making art in very strange situation, because all I've known is like the difficulty of being an artist, and that's about it, you know. But yeah, I mean, an art shop or a museum or anything, or travel.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, talking about, you know, when we used to do it, you know, exhibitions, like for instance, at the moment they've got the Warhol exhibition at Modern. You know, the number of people, the lenders, the international lenders that work would have had to come across in crates, travellers, you know, the people who would have escorted that work. You know, it's such a massive task. Again, when everything's normal. So now the idea of that and how that's going to work is just. But hey, maybe there's a positive here. Maybe, you know, because we have got, like, going back to what I just said about work in the archives and things, you know, all these institutions will have amazing pieces of artwork that people won't have seen or many years. So maybe the answer is going to be, instead of, you know, acquiring works from abroad to lenders from there, maybe it will be a case of actually reconsidering what our collections are and actually showing some of these pieces. You know, I mean, for instance, whenever we used to work at Tate, we always used to go, you know, what's our favourite works, which never really come out. And in Tate Modern, there's often Roy Lichtenstein's Wham piece, so the big, you know, plane paint. But in the store there at Tate Source, they have a pencil sketch of how he was planning it out in terms of the mural on his canvas and things. But that never gets seen. It would just little things like that, you know, it would just change, you know, the you know, what people think about works, and it, you know, it adds an excitement. I think whenever, you know, when you go to the Museum of Modern Art in America, down in New York, they always do something like that, which I always think is great. They always put a lot of kind of you know, sketch work and drawing work and proprietary work for the actual final piece. I think that's so important when you're you're an artist is actually the study, the thinking of it. I mean, I think that's probably you're going back to now working in the studio here and the time that it's afforded me. I'm actually looking back at work I've, ideas I've been making, sketches I've been making, little maquettes and things. And do you know what? Some of that is actually more interesting than the final pieces, and actually reevaluating those is something that I think is all we could probably, something we can all relate to. And I'm certainly enjoying that.
Yeah. No, I found that I had, even just with moving, it's been, I had to organise all my stuff, get it into the plan chest, get it out of the plan chest, decide what to put up in the new studio, and you do massively reassess everything when you've got the time to sit and look at it. We hung up one of my drawings in the downstairs loo, and now we both spend a lot of time just looking at it, and I haven't looked at that drawing in years. And it's just suddenly very strange to sort of be faced with it on a daily basis. It's just nice to change the sound.
Do you? I mean, you must have the same as me sometimes. I mean, I work a lot quicker than you. Let's be honest. I mean, I my level of productivity because of the way I work is so much higher. So I often dislike a lot of a lot of the things I do, but then I'll go back and reevaluate and actually think, oh, actually, do you know what? I quite like that. Do you ever have that with things, or is that something you work out during the process?
I think normally I work it out during the process. I think I've got a lot of friends who'll make 10 and like one, and then a lot of friends who'll make one and that's the one. And it's people seem to, I think maybe there is a middle ground, I don't know, but it seems to be a lot of like one or the other. You're either one of those artists or or the one that puts it all into the one thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Both finished pieces are just as good, because the time that I've spent working on that one, you've spent making 10 and producing that one good one. So it's the same amount of time, really, to produce these two pieces. They're just very different works.
Yeah. I mean, I think my whole practice has always been built on happy accidents, to be honest with you. I always remember my school teacher at A-level saying about the happy accident, and you shouldn't throw anything away and blah, blah, because you'll always learn from it. And I think that my whole practice really has been based upon that. That's always the ongoing joke at Jealous, is that, I have an MA in fine art, in printmaking, and I'm possibly the worst printmaker there. In terms of
I have a degree in painting, if that's any consolation.
But the thing is, when I was being taught at the masters, it was a case of here's what you could potentially do with these these techniques. Go away and make work and make it work for you. And so everything that I've ever done with those techniques has always been a kind of almost like a bastardized version of the actual process, because that's the way it fitted with my practice. But when it comes to Jealous, there's always a joke of if ever I was going to go and run an edition, it would, anything over 3 colours, do not give it to him. When you see Will or Joss or Ben or Jess knock out a 20-25 colour, the registration of mine would be all over the place. It would look like a technicoloured rainbow. It would just.
Do you print your rainbow piece then, or does someone else print that?
The rainbow, part of it's digital, so it's easy to see. A bit of a cheating thing there, right? Although I have done the uniques have been painted. I was a painter initially, and it was only because my technician said to me, the way you paint is like printmaking. You lay down colours like you're printmaking, and so it's actually been really nice over the last kind of year and a half, especially working with Danny. Danny Augustine. Yeah. Getting into painting and actually having that freedom, because a lot of my work is quite regimented in the way that it's structured, and so work with Augustine and Bridgland has actually allowed us to kind of really be a bit more expressive with the marks. And it's I think we both were pretty shocked about how people have latched onto those works and appreciated those works, because it was only
I love those works. Those are brilliant, and I love that they're of you, but they're not. They're something different because you make them with Danny, and they have this this energy to them that's different to the more planned work, I think.
Yeah.
The fact that you just stand in an art fair and make one together, I think is just amazing.
Yeah, we London Art Fair, that was quite fun actually. That was like the last thing we did. I mean, it's almost everything we do is it's almost like the last thing is, we always kind of consider maybe it's just the last thing we do together as a collaborative pair, and then another opportunity comes up, and then we try and then we. We like making that work. I mean, if you look at Danny's work and my work compared to what we make as a pair, we're very, very different. So it's yeah, I love it. And when we come out of this, we'll get together. We were talking about it the other day actually over text. We were saying maybe we'll just have like 2-meter brushes.
Hockney style.
Hockney style, I don't know. But yeah, like when before the last show we did, we made the works in the garden here. That you came up and stayed for the night, and we just kind of just literally made works in the field here, and it was amazing. Loved it.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think I'm too selfish to collaborate. I can't imagine doing it. Other than that time I drew over One by Charming, but he'd already given me something. I didn't have to like back too much.
I mean, I always think the collaboration, the way I look at it is it's a way of, I don't know, just extending the practice. And again, it's a case of that happy accident and seeing where something go. I mean, not all of it works, and I think but if it does work, it can help inform your practice, and also somewhere else. I mean, I work a lot with my wife Lucy on works. I work with another guy called Lee a lot, Lee Johnson, and everything we do, informs other parts of our practice. And I always like that. I mean, I miss, it's like a bit like when you go to art school and you have that feedback and people can talk to you, working with your peers. But being quite lonely. If you have that interaction, I suppose it's almost like that peer group.
Yeah. I miss that. That's one of the nice things about having a shared studio, I think. Well, at least like being in the same building as well. You can just call someone over to get an opinion on stuff.
What do you think of this? Okay, and you just look at their eyes and they're going, yeah, it's really good, yeah. You're lying.
You're like, all right, you can go back now. I got the idea.
Yeah.
That was fun. I think it's the people who notice when you've drawn something that you think's really different, even if it's not that different, but they go, oh, that's different for you. Then you're like, you could stay. You noticed.
No, that's but it's good. So what you got planned for this evening then? You got anything fun planned for this evening?
This evening, trying to figure out what to make with some corn mince. Walk the dog, because I went on a run this morning and I fell over and I like scraped all up my arm. It looks gross.
Proper like graze all down there.
You want to see?
Go on in. Let's show the viewers. Oh. What did you fall on? Did you fall on concrete or something?
No, I tripped on a tree root, like on a path. So I just like skidded along the path, and then the dog was like running off, and then she came back and just sat next to me like, this isn't good, is it? So.
Yeah, no, that's yeah. You're going to need a big plaster for that, by the way.
Very big plaster, yeah. And it's my left arm as well, so it kind of hurts to bend it right now. So that's great.
Yeah, don't do that thing where when you get paint on your underside, and when you're working away, and when you put your hand down on a piece of paper, and you've got paint on the paper. Do not drawing with your gooey like that.
Press my arm on it. That would be so awful. Oh God.
At least you
I know how to get out of paper, but not that.
Yeah. Oh, well, I hope it feels better. I hope it heals soon, and you find a recipe for corn mince tonight. Yeah,
it's a very exciting life I'm leading. Oh gosh.
But anyway, I better shoot because I noticed my battery is about to die and things. So it's been great to talk to you.
No, it's so nice to see you and talk about art. And
I love Steph Hansen. Pseudocreme is great. There you go, Pseudocreme. Steph Hansen has given you
I've got German. It's got a local anaesthetic in it, so I put that on. So that's great.
Oh dear. See, I've never done one of these. So it's almost like watching an old man watch things. So I'm just seeing all these comments going. Okay, that's good.
You see a good one, but you were in the middle of something, and then you can't remember what it was. It's quite tricky to keep up with.
No, but it's been fantastic to talk to you. Send my care and my love to Brian. I hope he's good, and tell him to get creating rather than playing those computer games. That's what I say to the kids. And if I have to deal with him as well like that,
I gave him a sketchbook. I'll give him another one. I'll tell him Adam says draw something.
Yeah, Adam says, listen, your game time's limited to an hour a day, all right? And then you have to get on with your work.
I'll see how that goes down.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, well, yeah, take care, and we'll catch up in real life soon.
That would be nice.
Cheers, Livy. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye.